Hello, this is Mrs. Callahan reads Mercy Watson to the Rescue. This is by Kate Dicamillo and illustrated by Chris Van Dusen. We have read chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We found out that the bed in Mr. and Mrs. Watson's house is about to crash through the floor. We also had the chance to meet my very favorite character, Eugenia. And Eugenia had just called the fire department. So we are going to find out what is going to happen. We know that they saw each other. Eugenia is not happy about this. And we are right here. Chapter 7. Eugenia ran toward Mercy. Mercy's heart beat faster. There was going to be a chase. Mercy loved to chase. She let Eugenia get very close to her. "Oink," said Mercy, dashing away. "Get out of my yard," shouted Eugenia. "Oink, oink," said Mercy. She ran in circles. She kicked up her heels. "No pigs allowed," Eugenia shouted. "Oh, sister," said Baby. "Please be careful." A siren wailed. A fire truck pulled into the Lincoln sisters' driveway. Ned and Lorenzo got out of the truck. "Do you think that's the emergency?" Ned asked. "Could be," said Lorenzo. Ned and Lorenzo sighed. "You never know with this job," said Lorenzo. "You're right," said Ned. "You never know." So they're pulling up. They probably are expecting maybe a fire, but they're finding it's actually a pig. Chapter 8. "Ma'am," said Lorenzo to Baby, "did you call the fire department?" "Oh dear," said Baby, "I did not. But Eugenia may have called." "Who is Eugenia?" asked Ned. "My sister," said Baby. "Is that her?" said Lorenzo. "The one chasing the pig?" "Yes," said Baby, "that's her." Baby and Ned and Lorenzo watched Eugenia chasing Mercy throughout the yard. Lorenzo cleared his throat. "What was the emergency exactly?" asked Ned. "I thought I saw a monster at my bedroom window," said Baby. "But it was not a monster, it was Mercy." "Mercy?" said Lorenzo. "The pig," said Baby. "The pig who lives next door." "I see," said Ned. "Eugenia does not care for Mercy," said Baby. "In her opinion, pigs belong on farms." "There's something to be said for that opinion," said Lorenzo. Ned nodded. "Help!" shouted a faraway voice. "Help! Help! Help us!" "Did you hear that?" asked Ned. "Somebody is in trouble," said Lorenzo. "Let's go." Chapter 9. Ned and Lorenzo ran toward the call for help. They went into the Watsons' house. "Help!" Ned and Lorenzo looked up. They saw a bed hanging out of the ceiling. They saw Mr. and Mrs. Watson holding on to the bed for dear life. You can tell how they feel. Look at those faces. "We are saved," cried Mrs. Watson. "Of course we are saved," said Mr. Watson. "Mercy has alerted the fire department." Even though we know she didn't. "She's amazing," said Mrs. Watson. "She's unbelievable." "She is a porcine wonder," said Mr. Watson. Ned and Lorenzo ran upstairs. They picked up Mr. and Mrs. Watson. The Watsons' bed sighed loudly and crashed all the way through the floor. Boom! Mr. Watson looked at the hole where the bed used to be. "I have always believed very firmly in the fire department," said Mr. Watson. "As have I," said Mrs. Watson. "As have I." From outside the Watsons' house came a squeal. "Gotcha!" shouted Eugenia. Chapter 10. Ned and Lorenzo and Mr. and Mrs. Watson all went outside. Eugenia was sitting on the ground. Her arms were wrapped around Mercy's neck. Her cheek was resting on Mercy's back. Eugenia was breathing very loudly. Look how happy Mercy looks. "This pig," she said, "was on my property." "We'd prefer that you did not call her a pig," said Mrs. Watson. "We would prefer that you call her a porcine wonder," said Mr. Watson. "After all, she did save us. She's a hero." "She's a pig," said Eugenia. She started to cry. There, there, sister, said Baby. She bent over and patted Eugenia on the back. Mercy yawned. She was very tired. I guess that's it, said Ned. Yep, said Lorenzo. Our work here is done. Wait, said Mrs. Watson. It's almost time for breakfast. Oink? Asked Mercy. That's right, breakfast, said Mrs. Watson. She kissed the top of Mercy's head. She looked up at the firemen. Do you boys like toast? Chapter 11. In the Watsons' house, around the Watsons' kitchen table, sat Eugenia Lincoln and Baby Lincoln and Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson and Ned and Lorenzo. And Mercy, of course. She was at the head of the table in the seat of honor. And in front of her, on her favorite blue plate, was a very tall stack of hot, buttered toast. A toast to Mercy, said Mr. Watson, holding up his glass of orange juice. A toast to our darling, our dear, said Mrs. Watson. A toast to Mercy, said Baby. Here's the full page. I love that they're giving her a toast and they're eating toast. See Eugenia's face? She is not happy. In my opinion, said Eugenia, pigs should not be toasted. In my opinion, pigs do not belong at the kitchen table. To our hero, said Mr. Watson. Where would we be without Mercy? Yes, said Mrs. Watson. Who would have saved us? I can't imagine, said Ned. Me neither, said Lorenzo. They all clinked glasses. Mercy had another piece of toast. Chapter 12. Outside the Watsons' house, the sun was rising. First the sun was red, and then it was orange. It rose higher and higher. Inside the Watsons' house, Mercy was lying on the couch. She was getting ready to take a nap. Bright, bright is the morning sun, sang Mr. and Mrs. Watson together. But brighter still is our porcine wonder. Mercy smiled. She closed her eyes. She was asleep before Mr. and Mrs. Watson even finished the song. And that is the end. I hope you enjoyed that. There are a bunch of other ones. Let me show you that we have right here. So we'll try to do another one. All right. Bye, guys.